there. Good morning. Happy Monday to you. It is 7:30 on the dot on this May 20th Monday. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett. I'm your host, Bridgett Ellison, live here on News 6 Plus and clickorlando.com. Hope you have a great weekend. I'm coming off a fun weekend visiting family. My newest niece was baptized over the weekend, so a quick trip up to the Northeast, and we had a mixed bag of weather up there with a dreary Saturday and then a beautiful Sunday. And now we're in for some more heat here in Central Florida, getting us ready for our Monday. Meteorologist Candace Campos is here. And Candace, we're talking more about melanoma today with a doctor and how younger people are being diagnosed with melanoma at higher rates now. And so a lot of it is because of the sun. And
Right.
so, protecting our skin as we get out here in this heat and enjoy the weather is important.
And here in Florida, we have sunshine almost through the night. It feels like it. We have so much sun
Long days.
that just because we're not going to be out in the sun doesn't mean that you're not walking to your car or walking to go grab lunch
The
or
traffic.
just and sitting in the traffic. Everyone says it's interesting, and maybe you can talk to the doctor about it, how like one side of your face ages more
Yes.
than the other
More
because of
freckles.
driving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's just a good reminder. It's not just because it's hot and sunny. You can get a sunburn even when it's cloudy outside. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of those things I always have to remind myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
But there's gonna be a lot of sunshine in the forecast, Bridget, as we're gonna continue to see a cold front come through Central Florida today. It's on its way through, and as it does so, it will be bringing in some dry air. So the
Okay.
dry air will be enough to, let's say, limit our humidity, but not limit our rain chances.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of in that middle zone. So we'll take less humid days,
Mm-hmm.
and rain chances won't be as widespread. I know you weren't here this weekend, but we had some rock and thunderstorms this weekend too. It looks like we'll be very isolated in nature as we had at least for the next 2 days. So let's
So
take it to the map.
beneficial
Show you what.
rain.
Yeah, you know what? We've had a lot of beneficial rain, which is a great little jumping off point. I'm actually working on a graphic to see how much rain we've had in the last week because we were really nice and we had a lot of rain to our dry season when we started. It was very nice, wet pattern. Then we turned into kind of a very dry pattern, and everyone's grass got really crunchy.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like we at least did some good work coming back. So we have some beneficial rain that we've at least had. But average highs for today, our average high for this time of the year is 89, and we're hitting about 88 to 89 today. Again, a few storms around. Then rain chances do drop off throughout the rest of the week. And it's that summer seesaw. If you don't get the rain, you get the heat. Now, here's a cold front. I use the word cold, not literally. It's basically a cold front that's going to be bringing in more dry air. And as that continues to make its way through Central Florida, we will again not feel as hot and as muggy as we have for the past couple of days. Clouds and rain forecast showing that nice northwest breeze coming in behind that front. It's going to be beneficial to us because it's going to keep temperatures at bay, but it's not going to be strong enough that it won't stop that East Coast sea breeze from colliding. So across our inland zones, basically between I-4 and 95 is where we'll have our best shot for some rain for today, as that's where the northwest breeze and the east breeze will kind of join in. Most of that will happen between 2 and 6 o'clock. And then we'll kind of rinse and repeat that weather forecast, but less than a northwesterly breeze. It's going to be more of a northeast. So some of those scattered showers could push a little further inland on by Tuesday afternoon. So rain chances both today and tomorrow still range between about 30 to 40%. Highs today and tomorrow will be staying in the upper 80s with that light breeze veering out of the northwest and northeast. So you can see that we are going to keep that slight chance of rain for the next 2 days, and we'll start really drying things out. Rain chances do go down to about a 10 to 20% Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But look what happens. The moment we start getting some dry days ahead, we start warming up. Just in time for what I like to call the unofficial start to summer. I know a lot of kids, this is like their last full week of school, or some don't even have a full week of school. It differs a lot by counties, but it is going to be feeling pretty high as we head into your Memorial Day weekend. Saturday and Sunday highs we back into the mid 90s, looking very well Memorial Day-ish, where we are going to continue to see the slight chance of rain develop across our inland zones and highs back above average into the mid 90s. So enjoy this nice little streak of cool weather, everybody. We're in the upper 80s.
That's really nice, though. I like that compared to what we had last week.
And it's going to be one of those days where if you kind of sit in the shade, it's not unbearable. It's
Yeah.
not comfortable, but at least it's not oppressive. We
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
from comfortable to oppressive, so we're gonna be kind of like halfway point at that point.
I could take a patio lunch with that. I can deal with that. A covered
Especially if
patio
you have a
lunch.
little
Yeah.
fan overhead.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'll
I'll take
take
you up
it.
on the. Are you inviting me out for a
You
little
got any
patio?
ideas? I'll meet you.
I've got to ask Steve. Steve knows where all the good
Hmm.
eateries are.
I had some
Some
really good
outdoor
Italian
al
food
fresco.
yesterday.
Say what?
I went to a place called Pescatore. Pescatore, how do you say it?
Ooh,
And it
was it
was
good?
in Philadelphia. Yes, so good. Their meatball was this big. It was so good. So good.
Did
All
you
right.
bring one back?
Well, we ate it on the plane.
Oh, on the plane.
Cuz it was so good. I took the rest to go and I thought, "You know what, kids? We're going to eat this on the plane." And we did.
You know what? A meatball is not a bad plain
So,
snack.
it was
It's
good.
real compact.
It is. It is. It is. Yes,
It's
and I
better
have
than
to show
fish.
you the baptism cookies. We had these. You know, I know you love a good decorated pastry, so I'll show
I
you.
do. Was it tasty too?
Oh yes, just the
Mm.
perfect mix of that shortbread and icing, and then they're so pretty you don't even want to eat them. But
Did you
I
take a
was
picture at
hungry.
least?
I did. I'll show you.
Okay. Was that
Yes.
also an airplane treat?
Well, we had enough to have some and bring some home. Yes.
Oh, there you go. There
So
you go.
I'll
Good.
show you a little later.
I'm
Thank you,
glad that you were
kids.
able to get up there and see her baptism. I know that was
Yes.
something you really
It
wanted to
was
do.
so special, so special.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love my niecey poos, and we were so happy to see them. My kids were so sad last
To
night.
leave.
They already missed them. So yeah, it was a nice little trip.
She had like a bridal gown. You have to post some
Oh,
pictures
it's
later.
so gorgeous. Yes, I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. You know how you have your family get-togethers and everyone's got different pictures. So I'm
Oh
waiting to
yeah.
get some of the
Gotta
pictures.
get those
So I'm
shared
trying to figure
albums.
out who has them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
all
welcome
right.
back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Thank you. I'll see you
Right.
in a little bit. Okay.
You got it.
All right. So we want to check on your traffic and oh, Trooper Steve is here. He's not in the truck. He was just behind Candace there. Good morning. How's it going?
Good morning. How are you? It's going
I'm
pretty
good.
good.
Well, so how's traffic looking this morning and what are you up to today?
So traffic right now, not too bad, except that one crash that we were watching for most of the morning. So
Mhm.
DOT cam showing that, or at least the map is showing, 429 right now, super backed up southbound, right at Plant Street. There's a crash still there, a block in the left travel lane. If you're coming in from like Maitland or Ocoee Apopka, you're going to run into these problems out there. Please plan at least an extra 10 to 15 minutes just so we're not following too close with each other out there. The rest of us, not too bad. DOT cam out on I-4, Central Parkway area, nice and clear in Seminole County. No major issues out here except for our routine stuff. Got to remember, it is Monday, so we are going to see those delays, especially out in like Lake Mary and stuff like that. Westbound, not the problem this morning. So John Young Parkway to 27 if you're leaving our area, 27 minutes. If you're headed the opposite direction, then it's probably about 35, 36. Lake Mary to Maitland, 10 minutes. So not bad, like I said a little while ago. Florida Mall, you're looking pretty good out along Sand Lake in Orange County, Oak Ridge, Pine Castle, Belle Isle, even out by the airport this morning. No problems out there. Coming in towards the city of Orlando, Gatlin, we're looking at streets like Pershing and Fern Creek, all clear this morning. And then further south is where we see those delays along Pleasant Hill and 1792, of course, in Kissimmee. Those are all day, all the time. Eastbound out by the attractions, no crashes out there, but we do have some registered slowdowns, so just be careful. DOT cam showing those slowdowns are out there. And it's an active construction zone, so if you're visiting from out of town, just understand Florida's always trying to fix something. Out by the port and by the Cape this morning, not the port, the Cape, as Candace has been watching, the skies are gorgeous, rougher right now, and so is traffic out in the beach area. So if you're headed out there, hey, think of us while you're chilling out in the sand this morning. Cocoa Beach and Cape Canaveral, Bridgett, looking pretty good.
Mhm.
Now, like you said, you asked me, hey, what do you have going on today? Well, my big thing was to make sure that the weather was good because
Mhm.
this morning is the start of National EMS Week here
Mm.
in the United States. All across the country, we are recognizing our EMS and medical professionals that are out and about. And we have an amazing provider here. ORMC has a system called Air Care. Air Care are those big, bright, gorgeous helicopters that you see flying around. And unfortunately, when they're showing up somewhere, that means someone is in need of some critical care. My best friend since 6th grade happens to be a trauma nurse
Mm-hmm.
on one of those helicopters. And today, Bridget, at 10 a.m., we will be landing Air Care here at
Mm.
News 6 over at our helipad and doing a live tour of the helicopter, all the things they have, talking with them for a little bit. And then Ezzy Castro is going to flip a story for this afternoon with that as well. So we could launch EMS week off nice
Mm-hmm.
with some real demonstration and equipment. And come on, we got the exclusive on this, so it's going to be a good time.
Yes, we appreciate them so much because that is just such a time of need when it gets to that level of care. When someone's going through that and their loved ones standing by, going through it with them as well. So we appreciate all they do and can't wait to see the
Amen to
behind the
that.
scenes.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, so we can't wait for that. 10 a.m. clickorlando.com.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Bye.
Bye. A little bit of news to get to, and then we'll talk to a doctor coming up about melanoma and a really sharp increase among younger patients being diagnosed. But first, an update, a follow up here on these swatting calls that have been happening with Flagler County schools. And so there was an arrest made, but investigators seem to believe that this may not be the only person who could be involved in this, but some students are continuing to stay out of school because their parents want to take caution with that, even though there are just a few days left in the school year. Here's Mark Lehman with more.
I know these ongoing threats to our schools are weighing heavily on our community.
It happened again at Buddy Taylor Middle School. A hoax call made Friday threatening violence and prompting a big response from law enforcement.
The caller stated, and I quote, "The school will be blowing up at 11."
Flagler County Sheriff Rick Cieli says this time, though, investigators were able to track down the caller. Deputies arresting a 13-year-old who isn't a student at the school, but detectives say he was dared by a student who is.
Stated he did it because of the dare and didn't want to be a punk not to do it.
The teen is now facing felony charges, but detectives don't believe he was behind previous swatting calls made to Flagler County schools, but a copycat instead. As the search continues for that caller, the superintendent says excused absences will continue for the final days of the school year.
A parent has to make the decision for themselves if they're going to send their student to school. I say continue to send them to school. We're going to do everything in our power to ensure that our students, our faculty, and our staff are safe.
So that is a concerning thing. And, it's such a waste of resources because you're tying up resources that might be needed to go somewhere else and then putting so many people into a state of worry, panic, anxiety. So hopefully that discontinues moving forward. Now we want to go into talking about melanoma. We had Melanoma Monday a couple weeks ago. It's the first Monday in May where there's an emphasis on skin exams and your awareness around your skin health, your largest organ. Dr. Michael McPhee, a surgical oncologist with Melanoma Clinic, is with us this morning. And good morning, Dr. McPhee. It's good to have you with us to talk about how there's an increase in younger patients being diagnosed with melanoma. Why is that?
Yeah, it's shocking, and obviously we don't like that. But we get the message out regularly that melanoma it's an equal opportunity cancer. It doesn't discriminate, and we're seeing a rise in individuals less than 30 that have melanoma in our clinic, and it's just not anecdotal. It's not just us. The data and the statistics really bear that out. That if you look at the population demographics less than 25, there's a rise of some 50% over the course of the last decade. So it's really concerning, and we continue to talk with you and want your viewers to understand what's happening.
Is there a way? I know I had a friend who was more predisposed to it just with genetics and a family history. Do you see that as something that a person can sort of determine so that they can have extra care or be more cautious? Is that something that you can be tested for?
Yeah, you're right.
Just from
Absolutely.
Family history.
Bridget, you're right on target. There's always going to be multifactorial reasons for the rise in melanoma in this demographic. But it's going to be mostly, as we talked about previously, the increase in ultraviolet sun exposure and all the damage associated with that. And then, as you clearly pointed out, there's going to be the familial component and the inherited genetic component that young people are just not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
But then they realize when they look at their pedigree, wow, my aunt had melanoma. I had a nephew that had melanoma, and my mom never told me, but she had malignant melanoma as a young person. So when we start to see 3 or more
Mm-hmm.
personal family members with melanoma, then we become concerned and we start to do testing, genetic testing. We do that with one of our vendors. We do genetic testing on these young individuals,
Mm-hmm.
and we find that, geez, some of them actually have an inherited gene mutation, a
Mm-hmm.
P16 gene mutation. So that requires close surveillance for these individuals.
Mm-hmm. And so they have to be more aggressive about the exams as well as protection than the
Hmm.
average recommendation, I
Yeah.
would imagine.
Absolutely. I mean, we caution them, you see your dermatologists quite frequently. And the whole idea is one, prevention. And we know some of the common uh, things that we can do to help to reduce our risk
Mm-hmm.
of UVA damage. But the other thing is, when you do have an abnormality, your dermatologist is going to do a biopsy to arrest further proliferation from something that is a dysplastic nevus to a melanoma. So those 2 things, prevention, early detection, and biopsy to arrest further development, very
Mm-hmm.
critical in our young population.
And I know for me, I'm black, and so when I look at the first time I had a sunburn or I had to have a part of my skin removed that was suspicious. And so sometimes
Mhm.
there can be a misconception among darker complected individuals that maybe they're
Mhm.
not as at risk, but that's not necessarily the case.
True. Well, okay, so we don't see as many melanomas in African Americans and Black people. A lot of people think, oh, well, it's because they have more melanocytes,
Mm-hmm.
which means that they can produce more melanin. No, African Americans have the same amount of melanocytes, which produce melanin, our natural sunscreen, as Caucasians. It's just their melanocytic activity is
Mm-hmm.
increased. So you have more melanin, which protects you, but you're still at increased risk for developing melanoma. We have to watch
Mm-hmm.
everybody in this young age group.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
it's
yeah,
cumulative. So we're going back to even when we were kids running around
right,
playing all day in the sun. This is
right.
cumulative damage by the time you get to an actual
Hmm.
identified diagnosed case on your skin.
Sure. Yeah. We talk to the young kids, and they come in maybe with a diagnosis of a pre-melanoma or a melanoma, and you get the history. Well, they were tanning when they were adolescents.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
had a tanning bed in their basement, or they
Mhm.
did it regularly at tanning booths, and all that UV radiation, UVA and B, it adds up. And if you look at some of the research, it takes 1, 2 sunburns,
Mhm.
and you've increased your melanoma twofold, increased your risk for melanoma
Wow.
twofold.
Wow.
So let's break the stigma
Mhm.
of being pale. We're really doing our
Mhm.
best, along with our dermatology colleagues, to say
Oh,
pale is pretty.
you know,
We don't have to wear white wigs anymore, but we don't have to go out and intentionally get sunburn and suntan.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely an appreciation for whether it's a tan look or a more fair look, but this idea of the tanning beds and tanning outside, it's been popular for so long. But when you see this instance of younger and younger individuals coming in, is it because, like you said, they were tanning too young, or that like you said, culturally the popularity
Hmm.
increased? Because I thought that a lot of people like the self tan type things and products, or the spray tan products. I would think that
Right.
would help put a dent
Yeah.
in things.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, I don't have the data on that, Bridget, but it does, for me, gives me peace of mind to know that maybe spray tans are being used more frequently, and that's good
Mm-hmm.
because there's no carcinogen associated with that. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have the UVA and B radiation affecting them. So that's something we can clearly condone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we know that burns are not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And in young individuals, thankfully, the young age, is a good prognostic factor. So
Mm-hmm.
they may not die of the disease, but paradoxically, we know that young individuals who do get melanoma, their increased risk for having a positive node or spread to the nodes
Mm-hmm.
is apparent. So there's a bit of a paradox there.
Yeah.
But just the same, you're doing a great job getting the word out. And we appreciate the time that we've had to speak with you.
Well, and I like the fact that you can break it down for us in that scientific breakdown. When we look at it surgically, what are some of the areas that people least suspect, or some of those areas that can be
Mhm.
dangerous because they're sneaky? Maybe they're not as.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, so, you have melanocytes, you and I, everybody has melanocytes throughout our body, even in areas that may not get sun exposure. And so there's mucosal based melanomas, oral cavity, that don't get sun. And so these can be insidious. Thankfully, the majority we see are going to be cutaneous, and they're going to be on young individuals that have intense sun exposure. Head and neck region,
Mhm.
for those that are on the beach. Maybe I think it was somebody else in your newsroom that stated on their arm, the
Mhm.
side where it's maybe outside the
Mhm.
window. Don't do that as much anymore. But these are any area in the body is subject to
Mhm.
developing melanoma. There's no safe area, unfortunately.
Well, what do you preach to people in general? Like, what kind of SPF? What is the max
Yeah,
amount of time that people could spend to say if you're going to have a long day outside? What types of
sure. Yeah,
coverings? What do you recommend as sort of your
yeah,
ABCs of?
yeah. Of course, it's. I think it's a common theme among dermatologists, my colleagues in the community, and myself. Pick a good product that's 30 or greater. Ensure that it has a property that allows it to stay adherent to the skin without being washed off with perspiration and sweat. And also when you're bathed in the ocean or pool. And then a generous amount, very liberal, maybe a shot glass. And then after a couple hours, do reapply it. We often forget that. We come home with a
Mm-hmm.
sunburn. Wide brimmed hats. I like the fact that we can put sun guard clothing on our
Mm-hmm.
on our children.
Yeah, I
Do you
like
know, Bridget?
those.
Because then you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
slather them and the
Right,
sand sticks to the kids
right,
and they're like
right.
sandpaper. And so the sun guard clothing is great.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy the sun. We're talking about get your vitamins from the sun,
Yeah.
but do it in a safe manner. Just do
Mm-hmm.
it safely.
Yes, because
Hmm.
we don't want to come see you.
No, I don't want to see you either.
But we
Exactly.
appreciate it. We do
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank
And
you.
so what would you recommend in terms of the frequency with the skin exams and what to come in for if something maybe
Good
looks
question.
fishy?
Very good question. We're looking for what they call ugly ducklings. So you yourself know your moles, know your skin. And so, maybe once a week, you look at your skin or ask your partner to help you look at your back. Look for an ugly duckling, something that just doesn't line up with the rest of your moles. Bring that to the attention of your PCP, refers you to a dermatologist. And if it is suspicious, because they have various scopes, dermatoscopes, and photography, then they'll do a biopsy. And,
Hmm.
and that stops this from progressing into melanoma.
And this
That's the
could be
best thing you
flat
can
or
do.
raised, right?
They can be flat. The ABCDEs, A is asymmetric, so that one half of the lesion has an appearance that's not the mirror image of the other. The
Hmm.
borders are irregular.
So that's a red
They've got a
flag.
variegated color. They're not all black. Maybe they're black and brown.
Hmm.
The size of a pencil eraser or greater. And then something that changes.
Hmm.
If it catches your eye, bring it to the
Keep an
attention
eye on
of
it.
your PCP. Exactly. Yes, correct.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, great advice. Hopefully, people will, lather up with that shot glass of
Yes,
protection and cover up more and,
yes.
use those spray tans. Nothing wrong with that, right?
You're absolutely right. Thanks,
And it's
Bridget, for your
okay to be
time.
pale too. All right.
Pale is pretty. Okay,
Pale
take
is
care.
pretty too. All right. Thank you, Dr. McPhee. Take care. Dr. McPhee is a surgical oncologist with the Melanoma Clinic. So it is good advice and something to keep in mind that younger and younger people are being diagnosed with melanoma. So the sun, definitely not something you want to play with at all. I know we love the sun and we love it in Florida, but definitely be careful out there. We want to tell you about Gatorland celebrating a big anniversary, the alligator capital of the world. Before Disney and SeaWorld, it was Gatorland celebrating 75 years. And this also coincided this weekend with their Gator Palooza, including the Florida Man Challenge Saturday and the Gatorland vlog team testing their skills at a mechanical alligator rodeo. So that's some fun news from around the world that's happening right here in Central Florida. Look at this. Oh boy, what a special place. Don't forget about the Rolling Stones contest. We're giving away tickets to go see the Stones. They are playing June 3rd at Camping World Stadium. And you have to watch News 6 at 11 p.m. or record it. Get the word of the day. They're giving out a word of the day every day. And then you go to clickorlando.com to enter for your chance to win. So just have a few more chances to try to win those tickets. So good luck out there. And don't forget, we're hitting the road to Kissimmee. That's right. We're hitting the road once again. 347-44. Make your voice heard about the stories that are important to you in Kissimmee and how we can help you get results and get those stories heard. Just go to clickorlando.com/hitstheroad. We want to hear from you. That's going to do it for us this morning for breakfast. And we'll see you back here at 7:30. And I'll see you for WKMG News 6 at noon. Take care.